Amidst the controversy, a moment of history.
I, Chrystia Freeland, do solemnly...
She becomes the first woman to serve as Canada's federal finance minister, after serving as Justin Trudeau's go-to minister from practically day one. When Donald Trump wanted to tear up NAFTA, Trudeau turned to Freeland. When the last election revealed deep fractures with the provinces, he turned to her again. And now that the economy needs a pandemic recovery plan, he turns to her once more.
It has been a privilege to work with Bill, and I wish him all the very best in the coming years.
Of course, Trudeau is also turning to Freeland to turn the page. Her predecessor, Bill Morneau, quit on Monday after reports of a deep rift with the Prime Minister.
When Bill Morneau told you he was going to resign, did you ask him to stay?
I think through this pandemic, we have done many extraordinary things.
Trudeau's long answer didn't include yes. Determined to move on, he also hit the reset button for Parliament.
I have asked the Governor-General to prorogue Parliament
until September 23rd, when there will be a new speech from the throne.
We do not want an election, but it is obvious that the throne speech we gave 8 months ago is no longer relevant for the reality that Canadians are living.
So the promise of a blueprint to a post-COVID economy that tries to solve the problems laid bare by this pandemic.
The restart of our economy needs to be green. It also needs to be equitable. It needs to be inclusive.
Regardless, though, of how you play musical chairs, we still have the same corrupt and incompetent Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister has changed the cabinet, but the opposition won't change the conversation.
The Deputy Prime Minister was at the table, at the cabinet table, when decisions were made around wheat. She was there.
That new throne speech will almost immediately go to a confidence vote to determine if a government that just lost a top minister can hold on to power or be forced to call an election. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
Okay, so small shuffle, potentially big implications. Let's bring in our chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton. Rosie, is this the government just trying to turn the page on the WE scandal?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an attempt to do that. The fact that they are choosing to prorogue now for more than a month, rather than letting committees who were, set to hear from more witnesses around the WE controversy as early as next week, continue their work, that is all shut down now. So it certainly allows the opposition parties to ask questions and to, raise their eyebrows a little bit around the timing of this. However, the government's also releasing 5,000 pages of documents and emails attached to this controversy. So it's difficult to say that the government is, hiding something here. The opposition parties will start looking at those and prepare if they see anything in them for when Parliament returns.
So if this is a government sort of resetting, what direction is that reset heading in?
Well, it seems to be fairly bold. The Prime Minister talked today about a better Canada, and that means everything, an economic recovery that covers everything from fighting climate change to making sure that women aren't left behind, to addressing some of the inequities we've seen in society throughout this pandemic, whether it be long-term care homes or marginalized communities. Those are all ideas that they talked about today and that will be central to the throne speech in September. But they're going to have to not only get Canadians to buy into that, but also another opposition party. Likely we will see some negotiations as we get closer to the throne speech, particularly with the NDP, to get some of these more progressive ideas on the table. And we'll see whether the NDP will buy into them, but also whether the country approves of them as well.
All right, Rosie, I know you have more on this with At Issue on Thursday. Thank you.
You bet.